It's Rob from Wheelworx Bike Shop in Dublin. We have a really special unboxing today. This is the as of yet unreleased new bike from Trek. There's been a lot of stories online about whether it's going to be an Amanda or a Madone or what it's going to be. So this is the first one we've had in. It is going to be a Madone, and it is basically a mixture of the Madone and the Amanda, taking the best of both bikes, combining it into one. So it's taking the aero predominantly on the front end of the bike of the Madone and the lightweight on the back end of the bike of the Amanda, and combining the two. This model is the SL7. So there's a few interesting things about this bike launch. The first one is that it's the first time in Trek's history that they've launched both the SL and the SLR models at the same time. Normally the way they do a product launch is they launch the SLR, which is a top of the range bike, first, and then a year later they launch the SL. Because this is a completely new model that doesn't exist, they're doing the whole launch at the same time. So there's SL5, SL6, SL6 axis, SL7. That's the mid-range bike. And then there's SLR7, SLR7 axis, SLR9 and SLR9 axis. We can go through the models as they arrive in. We have a big drop of about, I think there's 7 or 8 on the next delivery and about 10 or 15 on the delivery after that. So we'll have a lot of stock in over the next few weeks with all the models arriving. We'll go through each one as they come in. So this is the 7, which is right smack bang in the middle. And the interesting number that we got, or one of the interesting numbers that Trek gave us on this bike, is that the new SL7 is now as aero as the previous generation 7 Madone SLR7. So that would have been an €11,000 bike. This is a €6,500 bike, there or thereabouts, and this is as fast as that as an aero package. There's a couple of caveats with that, but I'll get to them in a couple of minutes. So we'll start taking it out of the box because I'm sure you're all mad to see what it looks like. So the SL7 is the mid-range carbon. The 7 refers to the build and the group set. It's Ultegra Di2. And there's a couple of changes from the previous Amanda. And you're probably wondering, the eagle-eyed among you are probably wondering what the note is on there. Gilmore knows what it is. I owe him a favour, so thanks very much. So we'll get this out of the way. Try not to trash the shop. Okay, so there's a couple of very obvious visual things. It's now got the ISOFlow that the Madone, the outgoing Gen 7 Madone, has. You'll also notice on an Amanda, traditionally the Amanda always came with the shallower wheel because it was a lightweight climbing bike. What they've done on the new model is they've combined the more aero, deeper wheel set with the lightweight climbing bike. So you're getting the aero from the wheels and the lightweight from the frame. So it's an interesting way to give you the best of both worlds. So the frame is 500 series OCLV carbon, OCLV being Trek's proprietary carbon, stands for optimum compaction low void. The SLR frames are being made from a new carbon 900 series, which is lighter and stiffer and made using newer technology than the previous generation Madone. So there's some nice interesting features on that as well that we'll go through as we're doing an SLR level bike. One of the big stories with the new Madone is the fact that Trek are moving away from their aero profiling tube that they've used on the last few Madones and on the Speed Concept they used a technology or a tube shape called camtail, which is, I've talked about it in a few other videos. It's where you take an aero profile tube, and if you cut off the back end of it, the wind still acts like the aero tube is there. So it gives you the benefit of a much deeper aerofoil. It gives you the aerodynamic benefits without the weight and the crosswind difficulties that would normally be associated with a very deep tube. But they've gone away from camtail on this model, and they've developed some new tube shapes. Computing power is much stronger now apparently than when they were developing the last bike, and they ran thousands of different CFD models and came up with a completely new aero tube profile that's lighter and stiffer and doesn't rely on the camtail. The aero claims on this that it's as fast as the SLR7 requires that the bike there's a new aero bottle and cage that they have, which doesn't come with the SL bikes. It comes with the SLR, but it is available to buy as an aftermarket extra, and it does fit other bikes as well, so you can add it to your old Madone or your Domani or your Speed Concept. It should fit most bikes, and when you add those, they effectively fill this space in the frame. And the big aero story that the Trek are telling with this is that turns the bike into a complete aerofoil. So as the wind comes off the fork and the front wheel, it transitions around the frame and it doesn't go back in again. It transitions around the frame, around the aero bottles that you can't see now because we don't have them, and around the rear wheel. So it makes this entire area an aerofoil effectively. You'll see the Speed Concepts come with a triangular bottle in the frame. It's to achieve the same thing. It's to fill this space here to give you better airflow. The bike originally started out as being an Amonda replacement about 2 years ago when they started developing it. But as they moved through the development, they were obviously trying to improve a number of things with the original, the last generation Amonda. They wanted to make it more aero and take some of the characteristics of the Madone. And at some point in the process, they start to realize, or they start to decide that they were going to see if they could make it as aero as the Madone and as light as the Amonda, or lighter than the previous Amonda. And that's essentially what they've done. You've got a bike now that's lighter, so it'll climb better and accelerate faster than the Madone, the previous generation Madone, but it is lighter and more aero. Sorry, I'm getting distracted here trying to take off tape. I might just leave that and do that when I'm not on camera. So the spec on this model is Ultegra Di2, 12 speed obviously, Bontrager Aeolus Pro 51s, Bontrager R3s with tan walls, and I've forgotten what size tyres they're coming spec with. So they're coming with 28 as standard. This bike runs Bontrager RCS Pro stem, which is when this is all assembled, the cables will route up against the stem, and there's a little cap goes over that to keep it nice and neat. It's using Trek's new aero bars, the RSL. So you've got the aero bar, and it's also got the narrower tops and the wider flare. So if you're riding a 56 a few years ago, your bike would have been coming with a 42 centimeter bar. So now the 42 centimeter bar measures 42 here, but it measures 39 at the tops. It's 3 centimeters narrower, and that effectively puts you into a more aero position on the hoods. And you can see then that the new Shimano levers have a natural slight incline in, as does the new SRAM Red as well, I think. So it'll sit slightly inwards a little bit better. When I was at the preview launch with Trek last week in the UK, they only had a few of the bikes available to see. This was one of them, and anyone who watches my unboxings or sees the bikes that we order, they know that I'm a big fan of colour, not that fond of the more subtle looking bikes, but I thought this was really nice. Really like the combination of colours, the silver, the tan wall, the little bit of red on the frame. Just get an Allen key and we'll fit these handlebars so that you can get an idea of what the setup looks like. So you can see James is focusing in on the Madone and the two circles. So the launch campaign for this bike is Worlds Collide. The idea being that you've got the Madone and the Amonda combining two separate worlds, and then they combine and they make 8, which is, this is the 8th generation of the Madone. Somebody in marketing gets full marks for clever use of numbers and generations, and I thought that was a clever campaign name. And there's a new handlebar coming on the SLR level bikes. This is the RSL bar, but the new SLR, the top of the range bikes, come with a one-piece integrated bar, very similar to the Gen 7 handlebar and stem, but it's slightly shallower and a little bit taller. And I'm pretty sure, from what we were told at the launch, that it's backwards compatible with older models. So if you have a Gen 6 Madone or a Domani RSL or current Domani, and you want to run the narrower tops and flared bars, you couldn't do that with a Gen 7 bar, because it really only worked on the Madone. It wasn't backwards compatible with any of the other bikes. But the new model handlebar, I can't remember what the designation or the name of it is, but it is going to be backwards compatible, and Trek have added a whole bunch of sizes to it as well. So one of the questions that I get asked a lot when we put up pictures, particularly if I put up pictures of pro bikes from we're at races, is why the pros don't ride the integrated bar stem that the rest of us do. And one of the reasons is the pros have adopted this narrower stance at the top of the bars much earlier than we did, and we're following that trend now. But the problem with that is, if you're a taller rider and you wanted to go for the narrowest bar, they only came with a short stem size, relatively short stem size. So the new bar now comes in the 35 at the top, 38 at the bottom, which a lot of the pros are riding. I'm riding at 35 now. I found it much quicker, that narrower stance. And they come 100, 110, 120, and I think 130 as well. So you've got a lot of long stem options as well. So there's a bunch of new sizes, and it's very much a case of Trek looking at what riders are moving towards and trying to anticipate that, I think, following the trends that the pros are starting out. So that's the bars on. That tape. We'll get this into the workshop. We'll get the lads to finish it up properly, and we'll bring it out in the sun. The sun is shining today. We'll bring it out in the sun and get some photographs and video. Do a full run through. Spec wise, I'm sure there's things I've forgotten that I was supposed to cover on the new bike. We can go through the model range as well. So there's an SL5, which will be 105 12 speed mechanical. SL6 will have 105 Di2 in 12 speed in 3 different colours. The SL6 Axis is the SRAM rival. SL7 is Ultegra with Pro 51s, and then you go to the SLR. The SLR level bikes come with the come with the Aero bottles as standard. They come with the new Cockpit. There's some of them are coming with Pirelli tires, and some are coming with new Trek tires that may or may not have been launched yet. So maybe I didn't say that in the video. And the SLR level bikes will be available through Project One as well. We'll have some of those available immediately from the launch, and we'll have more of them in over the coming weeks and months as well. The top of the range Chroma version, the Icon version of the SLR, is only available in one colour. It's called Interstellar. We'll have one of those in a couple of weeks as well. So that's it. I'm going to go and find the saddle, get this finished, get it into the workshop, and we'll do some more video outside.